Welcome to the Jedburgh podcast. I'm the creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Each episode, I speak with transformative leaders, visionaries, drivers of change, and those dedicated to winning no matter the challenge. The Jedburgh podcast is founded in the lineage of the special operations Jedburgh teams of the past and is produced in partnership with Talent War Group, a management consulting and executive search firm focused on helping you optimize the people side of your business. We're sponsored by Jersey Mike's Subs. Together, we share the mission of giving, making a difference in someone's life. Visit the Jedburgh Podcast, Talent War Group, and Jersey Mike's Subs on the web and on all social media. A percentage of all proceeds is dedicated to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families.
Day 3, Wodapalooza. Julius, Thomas, welcome to the Jedburgh podcast.
Welcome.
I'm Fran Racioppi. This is Jessie, Graff.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys and just talk a little bit of health and fitness.
Yes.
We have so much to talk about. So we've been planning this now for a bit of time, and we've covered so many things. But two-time Pro Bowl tight end, drafted by Denver, played for Miami, played for Jacksonville, has transitioned out of the NFL, which we're going to talk about, and now getting your PhD in psychology, moving into entrepreneurism, building your own business, mastery development, building an app to train the brain, right, which I want to talk about, but so many different things. We talk about moving our careers forward. And when we think about the Jedburghs and we think about the things they were doing back in World War II, it was always about getting better. How do we find more? How do we do more? Your story is one of those. Jesse's story is one of those that we talked about before. We're going to hit it all.
Hey, I'm excited, man. It's just a constant commitment to getting better, to improving, finding what you can do, and that's what I've been doing my whole life. And now I'm learning it, and I'm getting the academic side of how do you help push a person to these new heights, new levels. Then how do you refine purpose so that you're ready to climb the next mountain and find that next challenge? And we'll get into all the things I'm doing, but thank you guys so much. Looking forward to it.
First time to Wodapalooza, too.
Yeah, first time. I'm a big fan of CrossFit. I personally don't do it much. Got some injuries that make it a little bit difficult, but anytime I see it on Netflix, I just love watching people compete, and I have so much respect for people that can do things I can't do. And the courage that it takes to do these exercises at this level of intensity, at these loads, is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we've been impressed for the last couple of days.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
You walked around. Okay, we took a look at some of the events going on. When you come from a place where we have the most elite athletes that we've seen in so many ways on the planet. You played tight end, but I think about defensive backs all the time. You could argue with me maybe, but I do think about them because the reactionary instinct that they have to have. That's what I'll give them.
That's it. That's it. The only thing we give the defensive back. That's it.
Well, that's your adversary.
Exactly.
But when you walk around here, you look at these athletes. What does come to your mind? What do you see when you see so many of them out there competing?
I think that when you spend so much time around sports and you spend so much of your life training, right, you can really have a respect for the level of difficulty or really what that sport, what it demands of a person. So I think a lot about the upper body strength, right? These guys and women are doing muscle ups. Rep after rep. I've never done a muscle up. I know so many great athletes that have never done a muscle up. You start to think about overhead squats. It's hard to do a front squat with a lot of weight. An overhead squat, you see some people, the core strength and stability that you need. But then let's talk about endurance. I played basketball in college, and, we could run all day. But it's another thing to be able to squat all day, run all day, bike all day, swim. It's amazing. These are really terrific athletes, and I have a lot of respect for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about college basketball. That's where it started. You were a two-sport athlete in college, in basketball and football. Talk for a second about those early years, and Jessie always likes to get into the early years about where it all started from, but two-sport athlete, and then you had to make a choice. So talk about what you learned about operating and performing at an elite level when you had to balance these two sports.
Can I go a little before that?
Yeah.
I saw a story online about how you would get to school an hour and a half early to practice in the gym by yourself, just shooting hoops?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that I'm able to appreciate, right, is as you grow and as you get better in high performance environments, sometimes the environments teach you things that you add over time. I think about the player I was in high school when I was playing basketball, and you show up to college, and now there's this whole different environment. You've got a higher level of competition, and you now have increased demands, right? But you try to find a way to get on the court. You didn't go to college to watch everybody play basketball, and I've had my times of having to sit on the bench and watch people play, but then you're not satisfied with that. And then there's something inside of you, and I really call it this drive to succeed, right? Okay, the circumstances have changed, but I'm not going to find myself in a position I don't want to be in for very long. I'm going to do what it takes to be able to make the impact that I want to have in that place. So you got to get to the gym an hour and a half early to work on layups, to work on shooting, to work on all those other little intrinsic aspects of the game. That's what you have to do. And I spent so much of my life trying to perfect this craft, right? I think about mastery, right? And that's what a lot of high performance people have in common, right? They're trying to master what they do, and they're constantly talking to people, trying to find ways, watching videos, taking things that other people are doing well, and incorporating that into what they do. They keep building themselves. And that's what I had to do when I was playing basketball. It was like, okay, you got to work on ball handling. You got to work on shooting. You got to work on your touch in and around the rim. But do you know what to do in the right situations, right? And some of that takes just time and experience, but there's so much we can do to improve the way we're doing things just by kind of having that drive. And, getting to the gym early and putting the work in was just something that was kind of required for me to be able to reach the new standard.
Was it a natural drive? Was it just that you loved basketball so much, or was it more about the drive to mastery of something?
Yeah, I think that I loved it to a degree. I don't think I loved it as much as some of my teammates did, but I just don't like to fail. I just really don't like that feeling. And if I'm trying to play in the game and the coach is like, hey, man, you're not good enough yet to play, right? You got to feel that emotion that comes up. Is it frustration? Is it sadness? Are you angry? And for me, a lot of the time, I'm angry. If I'm not able to get out there and compete, I'm going to do what I have to do on my end. And I had a lot of rough times that freshman year sitting down at the end of the bench saying I should be playing. But you can say I should be playing long enough, and then you got to prove why you need to be out there. And then once you prove why you got to be out there, you got to make sure they never take you out. And so that's what I was constantly trying to do, is make improvements to my game and how I showed up on a day-to-day basis so that I could play in a game and I could spend more time out there on the floor and less time sitting.
Yeah.
So you had to make a choice. Why choose football over basketball at the end of college?
Man, my story was unique because the choice happened for me. So I got to college and I was like, man, I really regretted not playing football in high school. So I went to the football coach and I was like, hey, man, I want to go play receiver. And he's like, man, we never say no to 6'5" receivers. You're already on scholarship. Come on out. And then my coach at the time, he looks at me and he goes, dude, you're not here to play football. You're here to play forward. And he's like, you're not playing football at all. And I was like, all right, well, it was worth a shot. I'll never forget there was an assistant coach, and he was telling me, he was like, man, I'm really sorry it didn't work out for you, but if you don't redshirt, you'll have an extra year eligibility. You could always use that to play football. And so I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, and I would tell people, like, I'm going to play football one day. And I think my basketball teammates were like, man, you're crazy. You didn't even play football in high school. And then the football guys were like, what do you mean? You think you could just come out here and be a good football player? So I played 4 years of basketball, been able to go to 2 NCAA tournaments. I mean, most wins in school history, highest field goal percentage in school history. But I still had that inner desire to play the game of football, and I thought I would be good at it. So when I graduated, I came back to school. I had like 6 months of eligibility left, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try to play football. So I showed up to spring practice with the football team and had to find a way to make a new career for myself. And like, starting at the absolute bottom was it was a challenge for me. Like, I went from being a senior captain in basketball to like as novice as it gets in football. Hadn't played in 8 years, but I had a vision, and I was determined to give it my best shot. And I just scraped and clawed my way to getting drafted 11 months later in the 4th round into Denver.
Gosh.
Damn.
That's so wild. How do you, when you're so far behind, just starting new, what What tools did you use? How did you catch up? What actions did you have to take?
Oh man, I talk a lot about commitment, and commitment is when you gotta put into action all those things that you were saying. I'll never forget, first day of practice, it was like kind of a story around town. Like there's a guy from the news, and he comes out there and he goes, Julius, you've had a great career here at Portland State. Now you're coming to play football. And the guy takes a mic, he puts it in my face, and he says, do you actually think you're going to get to play? Right, and that's one of those moments, right? Like, I'm a competitor. I'm fired up about trying to achieve the things I set my mind to. And I was, PC, and I hit him with the public relations. Well, I come out here, I'm going to give it my best. But in my head, I was like, you're damn right I'm going to play. And I'm coming here because I want to be in the NFL one day. But I kept that to myself. And it was the worst 2 weeks ever. Like, I think it's important to share, right?
Yeah.
Because people look and they go, man, you got this success. And they think success is always this smooth path.
Yeah.
And I tell people, no. I've started from the bottom and had to make it to the top in several things now. And it's always a climb, like getting over a mountain. And in those first 2 weeks, the fourth string defensive end was kicking my ass. I was out there struggling. And I remember I called my dad and I was like, Dad, man, I don't know if I made the right decision. I'm not sure, but I'm going to give it my best, and I'm going to play a little bit longer because I had all those people in my ear saying, dude, just stop. Go back in the gym. It's right across the field.
Yeah.
Go do what you're good at doing. Go play basketball overseas. But then I remember, let me stick this out. And I remember my first catch in practice. I'll never forget the play. It was called 61 wide dragon. The offensive coordinator looks at me and goes, come here, meat. We're going to throw you the ball, see what you can do. It's like at the end of practice. It's like a 5-yard crossing route, like the easiest route, like the beginner, like what you give a basketball player that's like sliding around a football field in cleats like Bambi on ice. And so I'm like, I'm finally going to get the ball. I remember running, I'm looking, I see the quarterback, he throws the ball. When the ball hit my hands, all I could think about was just sprint. So I take off and I'm running downfield, and it's like, there goes one backer, ran by that guy. Here's the DB, ran by that guy. Next thing you know, I'm standing in the end zone, and there was like a hush over the entire practice field. And everybody was like, what happened? And then the next day, I got one pass that day. Then the next day, practice is in, and offensive coordinator goes, we're gonna throw you the ball again. I think in his mind, he was probably like, oh, that's a fluke. Like, that can't happen twice. Calls the same play, 61 wide dragon, it happens again. And there I go again. There's the linebacker, there's the DB, I'm standing in the end zone. And I think everybody realized, like, okay, he's got some potential. But I had so far to go before I was ever going to become a player in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I did this thing in my mind. I was like, well, everybody's been doing this longer. I need more reps. I got to catch up. So that summer after spring practice ended, I got every quarterback's phone number on the roster. Starter, second string, third string, fourth string, guy that played safety the next year. And every single morning, I don't care if it was raining, I don't care if it was the most beautiful day, and all my boys were going down to the water to hang out, I'd call the quarterback, start with the starter, and I would say, hey, are you free today? I want to run routes. Yeah, man, I'll be there. Second string, third string, sometimes. Guys would stand there and they would laugh at me, like the guys would heckle me because, went to school together, and they're like, bro, Julius, get this up, man. You're terrible. But then that's when I realized that sometimes you got to get laughed at to get to where you're going. Because I know I'm going to get the last laugh in the end because of how committed I am. And so I did that every single day of the entire summer. And then, lo and behold, I got pretty good at running routes because the reps came in. And then I ended up being an all-conference tight end that year, and kind of the rest was history as far as making it to the NFL. So it was a challenge, but I was always trying to find ways to immerse myself in what I was doing. Because that's the only way you're going to catch up, right? Like, these people have been doing this for years. Like, you could have all the potential in the world, which my tight end coach in Denver told me that's just a French word that means you haven't done shit yet.
Yeah, it's
but
true.
You've got to do something with it. And for me, it's day after day, and you just keep coming, and you're relentless about the vision you set for yourself, and you don't stop until you get it.
So everybody who's getting ready to become a special operator, go to selection for whether it's going to be a Green Beret, Navy SEAL, you want to become an Army Ranger, you want to join the Air Force, become a pararescueman, right? They can come to you, hop on 18 Alpha Fitness app, and you're going to take them through some very specific workouts that are designed for each one of those training programs.
I always start off everybody day one of 18 Alpha Fitness is my push-up from hell. Spider-Man push-ups. So on a down position, your left knee comes to your left elbow. Right knee comes to your right elbow. Yeah. Next one is diamonds, everybody's favorite. And make sure you get that chest off that ground. All right, wide arm. Be on your knee. This is the knee one, but you're gonna go down and explode up.
You want to take it to the next level. You want to be one of America's best. Get on 18 Alpha Fitness. Check it out.
Well, it's a really important point because people think about the draft. I think about it, for me, it's selection for special forces. Jessie and I the last couple of days have talked a lot about the call you get from the producers at American Ninja Warrior to bring you back. And it's like, to a lot of people, that's like almost a culminating event. Like, oh, it happened. I got the call. I went to selection. I made it. I got the draft. That's the start. You haven't done anything yet. That's just, you got a seat at the table now, and now every single day you have to earn your spot there or you're out.
No, and it's actually the scariest part. It's really scary inside when you've been like striving for something and then you get it, because now you're stepping into another echelon and another environment of, this is about to get harder, right? I'll never forget that first training camp after playing football for like 14 months, and I'm like putting my chest pads on, and everybody's telling me about this guy named Brian Dawkins, one of the baddest safeties there are, and they're like, you know what? He's going to try and fuck you up today.
He's going to turn what?
He's going to try and fuck you up today.
Oh, no.
Like the last tight end that we drafted last year, like he hit him so hard, I don't think the guy ever wanted to play football again. Be careful out there. And so you're thinking, wow, that's really cool to get drafted. It's really cool to tell everybody I'm in the NFL, but now it's time to put up or shut up. Now you moved into another environment that got just that much harder, just like when I went from high school basketball to college. And now you got to earn it again. And now you've got all this pressure. You've got all your feelings surrounded about how you feel about this pressure. And now you have a choice. Life gives you a choice. Here you are. This is what you worked for. This is what you asked for. Now I demand more of you, and you can overcome or not. Because these circumstances, when you get to do the things that you guys have done or the things that I've done, these circumstances break people. They take people that believed in themselves their whole lives, and they make them feel like, wow, I'm a failure now. I couldn't cut it at that level, right? And life is always presenting you with something, right? Something that's so difficult, it's outside of your reach, and life goes, well, we're going to see what you're about. We'll see what you do with this opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's so common for people to be told that they're not good enough at something, or to try something new and realize that they're not good at it, and just take that as truth and understand, well, I guess this isn't for me. And I love how you immerse yourself in something new, and okay, I'm not good at this yet because I haven't done it before. Here are all the things that I'm going to need to do to catch up, and you become good because you don't just believe, you do the research to find what you need to do to get there. And it's so important for people to know, to see that, yes, you were bad at one point, and this is how hard you had to work to get there, and this is how amazing it is having achieved it. Now you go to the next level where you're going to feel like you suck again. And then grow.
That's exactly how I couldn't say it better myself. I tell everybody, I believe in you. I believe in you. They say that we live in a world where we're low on hope. Like, there's a lot of people waking up every day wondering, can I do it? And I tell them, no, I believe in you. I know you can do it. Because the number one thing I know is it doesn't matter where you start. I don't care what level you're coming in at. If you show up and you're humble enough to find the answers to how to get better, and then to go do it, and you just repeat it, time on task, right? Over and over, over and over, over and over. Never get sick of it. Keep going. You're going to take your level from wherever you are to, sky high. If you have the humility to ask the people around you what it is you need to do to get better, and then take action, right? Because nothing's going to happen if you don't take action.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how it's so important to be comfortable in those situations where you are the beginner, where you're going to fall on your face and everyone's going to see you fall on your face, and just know that's fine. That's the stage you're at, and you're going to grow out of it as long as you're willing to fall on your face enough times to get back up. And I, like you said, your ego and humility, like if you just lost my train of thought for a second. But if you are the better you get at one thing, the harder it is to be a beginner at another thing, because everyone's like, well, he was the star basketball player. Oh, wait, he's not amazing at football? You're not just amazing at everything? Huh. And there's that judgment and the fear of that judgment. And it's so brave to just take that and know that everyone's, the guys were actually making fun of you. They're not being super supportive. But to stand up to that and be like, I don't care, I'm going to fight through it. And I love how you've taken that not just in sports, but is it too early for a transition?
No, we can go.
But you apply that to everything.
Yeah, it's that's why transitioning is so hard, because your identity is at risk. Like what you're talking about is when you've been really good at something and everybody in the world knows you as good, then you start something and then now you're not good. Now there's some cognitive dissonance there, right?
Yeah.
So am I good or am I not good? But I don't look at it that way. I look at it as, am I good at this thing or am I not good at that thing? My identity doesn't cross into different areas. No, you got to then get good at that thing. And that fear is what paralyzes people, right? And that makes them stop. We know that in science, neuroscience will teach you, we can fight or we can flight, but we can also freeze. And sometimes people in life, they freeze because they're not sure what to do with that emotion, that feeling that's inside of them. And I always say, just keep going, move through it. There's going to be a period of novice, right? And I teach people all the time, the climb from novice to master, you've got to pay the dues all over again. When you want to go from something else, you got to pay those dues all over again. You don't get to carry those dues over. That's not the way life works. And but I'm encouraged by that, because what would life be if we didn't have to keep earning it?
Yeah.
How would we see a person's character if they didn't have to keep earning it? And I think that's the beauty of it. And I encourage people to lean into that, because that's who you're going to find out. That's how you're going to find out about who you are constantly.
Yeah, there's such a freedom in accepting that you're a beginner. And I think people really respect that, at least in a lot of the sports that I've tried, because I try a lot of new things and I fall on my face a lot. And I think when people see me fall on my face, they're they respect the getting back up and they become willing to help, and that it becomes so much easier to grow.
You're really just teaching this. When I go teach people about how to have mental performance, or when I'm coaching a person, you're using all my words. I talk about resilience. If you want to become a master at something new, you're going to have to climb this new mountain, and you're going to need to be resilient. And the first keys of being resilient is to have acceptance for how difficult this is going to be, and then courage. Because the courage is the only thing that's going to get you through the fear, through the doubt, through the pressure. You have to have courage to go through these experiences that are challenging. But then you're going to have to pop up when you get knocked down. But don't be surprised by getting knocked down. Expect it. Expect it. If you're a resilient person and you want to do something that you have a dream that is rare, you have a dream that's pushing you beyond your limits, well, it's going to be hard. And that's okay, because as long as you go into it knowing that, and you're able to have acceptance and be courageous and pop up, you're going to make it.
One of the biggest challenges we have in building great organizations is accurately identifying the strengths and weaknesses of our team and our teammates. Compass Workforce Solutions is a certified predictive index partner. Since 1955, the Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment has objectively provided insight into employees' workplace behaviors. This allows us as leaders to predict what drives and motivates others, helps us to be better managers, and enables more effective communication to increase performance by really understanding who's on our team and what they do best. I've incorporated Predictive Index, Compass, and Christine Ippolito's team into every one of my businesses and my performance development programs. Incorporate science-backed behavioral assessment tools like Predictive Index into your organization today and see how quickly you reach your goals. Learn more about Compass and the Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment at compasswfs.com.
A lot of what you're talking about here brings in this concept of emotional strength, physical strength, and mental strength. And how do we have a symbiotic relationship that really puts focus on all of these things? And I think as you go through different periods of your life, you tend to focus on and prioritize some over others. And then the goal really is to get to the point where you can have all of them in the right place and then be able to almost pull the levers. What do I need in this situation? So now I'm going to put you on the spot as a doctoral student of psychology. How do you break those three down? And how do you think about the relationship between mental, physical, and emotional strength and how they need to be applied and when?
No, that's a great question. And this is something I've thought about a lot because people often underappreciate the importance that being healthy, and I call it whole health, mental, physical, and emotional health, they underestimate the role that has in performing at your highest level over and over and over again. Like if you're not healthy, you're going to see your performance start to decline over time. Like we know it through injury, we know it through pain, but sometimes we don't associate not being mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy all at once with kind of the performance decrements that can have. And I call them the 3 buckets of wellness, right? Like one day I had to look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, Julius, like if I had a bucket, right? And I like to characterize it this way so anybody can think about this for themselves, right? Imagine you got 3 buckets in front of you. One says mental health, one says physical health, one says emotional health. And then you got to ask yourself, like, how much have I poured into each bucket throughout my life? Like for me, I was like, man, like I have a vat, like a huge bucket of physical health because somebody was making me work out since I was like 9 years old. Like I've been pouring into this. But like my mental health bucket, like that's a little bit smaller of a bucket for sure. Like I haven't put concentrated effort on filling this bucket. But then I had like this little red Solo cup, and that was like my emotional bucket. Like the wind could come blow that thing over because no one ever taught me what emotion was. No one ever taught me how to experience it, how to identify it, how to understand it. And then I thought, man, you want to be elite, right? Like you look yourself in the mirror sometimes, like, and for me, like the voice in my head, like, it's like, no, we're going to be elite. But how does that fit my elite standard? If I haven't poured into this bucket, like, am I going to go through life having this bucket that I haven't put any concentrated effort in? Absolutely not. I'm going to go learn about emotion. So when we think about whole health, we have to understand that we break these up as constructs because we've kind of looked at them that way. But for the body is leveraging all 3 at all times. It's hard to have good physical health if your emotional health and your mental health's not right. It's hard to have good mental health if your physical health and your emotional health isn't right. And that's what I love about neuroscience is because it's going to teach you the way that the cells are all working together. Like those 70 trillion cells in your body, they're not going, oh, this is mental, this is physical, this is emotional. They're saying, hey, we have a job to do to get this organism out and doing the things that the mind wants it to do. So it needs to use all 3 of those, and they have to be in cohesion if we want to show up as our best every day, whether we want to be a CrossFit athlete, whether we want to go have one of those offices in one of those big buildings over there and send emails and tell people what to do. It doesn't matter. If we don't have whole health, we're not showing up as the best version we could possibly be.
Yeah, it's important for me to hear how important all 3 components are. Because I know, like, in my college years, if you told me, oh, you only have, like, a red Solo cup with nothing in it for your emotional health, I'd be like, what do I care? I don't care if I'm emotionally healthy. I just want to perform my best. But if you'd told me, hey, filling up that cup is going to make you a better athlete, might not have been the best motivation, but it would have made me a healthier person overall and then improved my performance where I was focused.
Yeah, it would have increased your willingness because you have this standard, right? Like, okay, I want to be performing at my best all the time. So you're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to go do pull-ups until your shoulder gives out.
Yeah.
You're going to go run until your ankles give way.
Yeah.
Because you've made this commitment to yourself to be your best version. But when you realize that being emotionally healthy and having emotional intelligence is so critical for your performance, now you're like, wait, no, where am I going to go to get good at that? How do I take this red Solo cup and start pouring into it until now this becomes a big bucket? And can I get it to be the same size as the mental and physical bucket?
Ooh.
Now you're going to start going and looking for those resources, going to learn about those things. And once you take this journey into understanding emotion and you have better insight into who you are, why you feel the way you feel, you get compassion. Because if you can't recognize that you have these emotions, then you can't recognize them in another person. But the moment you go, wow, that hurt my feelings, that made me angry, well, I was afraid in that moment, now you see that humanity in everyone. You go, wait, everybody in this park right now has feelings, and they're happening because of these things events in life. And how can I support them in that? Because I know that I needed to be supported in that. And I think that creates the humanity and the compassion that we know will pay dividends for everybody, especially when you think about, we're all in this together.
Talk about training the brain. That was something that you had brought up and had discussed, because in order to be able to effectively do what you're talking about, we put a lot of focus on, we know how to train the body. How do we actually sit down and say, I got to train my brain in these things to actually effectively operate and do the things that you're talking about?
No, thank you for asking me that. One of the roles that I serve in now is a co-founder, Chief Innovative Health and Performance Officer for a company called NESTRE. And that's what we wake up every day to do. We want to leverage science and technology in a way where we can help people bring fitness and health to their brain, because we haven't done it before. Like, sometimes I'm like, why don't more people know about this? It's like, well, that's easy. Like, humans never knew that we were going to be able to train our bodies. We just started doing that 70 years ago. Like, we've been here for a long time. And 70 years ago, somebody was like, maybe we should lift weights. And then all these athlete coaches were like, absolutely not. You don't take my athletes in there to lift weights. That's going to slow them down. That's going to make them big and bulky. And then Nebraska started doing it, and they started winning championships. And now every program has a strength program. Every sport has a strength program. And we went, wow, there's a lot of value if you expose the body to a structured rigor, right? That's how you're going to get the most out of that person. But we've never done that for the brain and the mind. But if you're like me and you spend all this time in research and psychology and neuroscience, you really start to see that, wait, we're talking about what we can do with cognitive training. We're talking about what would happen if we intentionally tried to expose the brain and mind to conditions that was going to make it more in the way we want it to be. How do we optimize that? And at NESTRE, that's what we're about. We're trying to find, like, what are the things that we can do to help give people cognitive solutions? Like, do you want better attention?
Yes.
Jessie, would that be great? Like, Fran, would you like better memory?
Yeah.
You want to be able to recall things quicker?
There's a lot of people who will tell you that.
But how many reps of training have you gotten that in this last week?
I don't know. So we're not talking about picking a subject and studying a subject or learning about math or science. We're talking about like sets and reps and games that are going to specifically train your brain for new skills.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're doing at NESTRE, is like we're trying to tell the world that, hey, we're able to do this now. Like, we can cognitively train a person. Like, we have a couple different solutions. We have our mindset profile, which is really cool, and that allows people to understand, like, what are my cognitive preferences? Like, how do I prefer my environment? And that's giving you immediate insight to let you know about this mystery, right, that's in our own black box. And we're able to provide somebody that with a assessment that takes 10 to 15 minutes. But then we also have an app where you're able to go in there and do cognitive training, mental framing, to help you understand and learn how to stack wins in your everyday environment. So now you're turning on these physiological mechanisms in your brain that make you go, wow, I want to get after it more today, because now you've got clear on what you want to do. And then we actually have our in-person training where we're able to take people, scan their brains, show them their neural networks. Okay, this is what your attention network looks like, Jessie. This is what your memory network looks like. This is what your executive function looks like. How much do you want to commit to making these better? And then show you how it's responding through training. And so that's intentionally trying to leverage into technology and science to make the brain operate at its best. And we're going to get there, but this is just the beginnings. And NESTRE is one of the companies that says, we know we can do it, and let's go build it into a company, and let's go do it for people so that we can have this level of fitness, right, that all these athletes here are doing. But it came from consistent reps. Like, how many times do you think the athletes here train a day?
I think they train a considerable amount.
Constantly. And that's how they got the most out of their physical performance. So if you want to get the most out of your mental performance, you got to ask yourself, how many times are you training? But then the question is, but where am I going to train and what am I going to do? And that's what you let us scientists and us people that are studying people do. And that's what we do at NESTRE. We work with a lot of high-level athletes, and we're really growing this company. And, we're a startup, so we're down here at the bottom of this mountain, and we're going to climb it. But we want to give people access to tools that are going to help them better understand the way their mind works and also give them the ability to train. And when you start letting people train, consistent focus reps, you guys both know what the result is.
Yeah. So how do I start? Like if I wanted to join right now,
Well, we have
which
an app.
I do. But so what does that look like? What does the training look like? Do you have to test first?
Yeah, so it's really important to see where somebody's, how they initially come in, like what level they're at. So we have an app. It's on the Apple Store. It's on the Google Play Store. And right now you can go in and it's like a subscription, $7.99. If you do it over 12 months, $9.99 if you do it per month. And so the moment you log into the app, it's going to say, hey, here's our mindset profile assessment. So you're going to take like 20 questions and we're going to tell you about your cognitive preferences. And then from there, we're going to recommend trainings for you based on what you decided was important. So we have cognitive training games. We have our Activate series where you can hear from elite level athletes on how they prepared for their day and how they got their mind right. And then we also have mental framing training that allows you to really focus on what are the wins and losses in my environment and how do I pay less attention to the losses and focus in on these wins so that I'm feeling better and I'm chasing the things that I want with a different level of passion and energy. And that's how you can anybody can use it through the app. But then we also have our location in Lake Nona. Have you heard of Lake Nona? You guys got to come to Lake Nona sometime.
All right.
It's like the health.
Sounds like an invite to me.
Yeah. And so that's where we do our in-person brain training. And then we're able to wire people up with an EEG cap. They've been using standard in science for 70 years as well. And then we're able to show you your brain and your neural networks and how they're functioning because we do a brain scan. And then we can give you the ability to train.
So that gives you more insight into what you should be training than just taking the quiz on the phone?
Well, it's different because when we're able to actually scan your brain, we're able to give you information on this is how your brain's functioning now. It's like the other day, right? I went in there and they were like, hey, man, what's going on? Your chronic pain network is really high. It looks hyperactive. And I'm like, well, how'd you know? Like, my knee has been hurting because it was cold and my meniscus problems, it locked up on me. And they were like, hey, well, we need to reduce the activation on this network to bring it down to this optimal range. And we can do that for mood. We can do that for attention. We can do that for anxiety. So when you're able to visualize these neural networks and see, like, wait, I could be getting more out of my executive function today, I want that. And then we're able to give people the ability to train. So it's really exciting. We love what we're doing, and we just continue to grow.
When you say get more out of your executive function, like what is that in real life? What skills am I going to get better at? Where am I saving time or remembering more things?
Yeah, so executive function is judgment, planning, decision making, right? This is the things in this prefrontal cortex that really separates us from everything else. This is going to allow you to do that at a greater level, right? It's like, think about what your body would be like if you hadn't trained it before. Now imagine what training has done and it's allowed you to do. So we want to give people access to do that for the brain. Because once you're able to train your brain and you're able to start seeing, like, for us, like when we go into a season, right, we do all our weight tests. And you see your numbers, you might be like, I like that number. I do not like that number. I'm going to be in here working on that. So we're able to do that with 20 neural networks. And so you'll be able to see where you're at. And you'll be like, okay, that's at an 80, that's at a 75. Like, I want to be in 90s. And then through repetition, through training, we're going to be able to help you improve in those areas. And that's why I'm most excited about the field of cognitive training.
Yeah.
Because I'm in here reading research articles all the time going, oh, more people know about this. And it's going to get out, and more people are going to start doing it. But it's really cool that as people, we've now developed this ability to train the brain. And it's exciting to be a part of this new frontier.
Nice. Okay, so I could get better at, like, when I have a conversation, I could remember more of it. I'll understand, like, more complicated things.
Yeah, so
Probably.
Memory is some of the things that we can help. Like, right, we all have a network that allows us to be able to remember things. Then memory is like a complicated process. We're not going to get into it, but say you want to recall things, right? We had one of our senior advisors, right? He came to us, Lee Steinberg. He's an agent, right? And he was saying, you know, one thing I want to be able to do, I'm getting older in life, and I used to be able to walk up to people and I knew everybody's names. And if what you guys are doing can help me with that, I'm coming on board.
Yeah.
So he spent a week with us up in Orlando, and he did one of our 1 week intensives, and he's training his brain. 2 weeks later, he calls us. He goes, "Holy shit, I can remember names. Like, I got it back." He was like, "How do I come on board? I want to work with you guys." So these are the kind of results we've seen. I mean, sometimes I talk to the people that we train, and like, we had a young lady. She was 16 or 17, and she'd had several concussions from playing lacrosse. And so, me, I'm like a scientist. I want to know, how did the brain training help you? And she's like, "My personality got better." And I was like, "Personality? Like, I didn't know if we were really training personality." I was like, "So let me ask some follow-up questions. What do you mean by that?" And she was like, "Well, when I had these concussions, I wasn't able to go to school. I was constant pain, headache, sitting in a dark room. My parents were like, they felt like they lost me." She's like, "But then I started training and training and training." She's like, "Now I can sit through a whole day of school. Now I come out of my room. Now I'm interacting with friends again. My parents are related." And like, so those are the stories you hear and you go, wow, this is what brain training did to materially change the way a person's showing up every day in life.
Wow.
And then you meet her parents, and her dad's like, "Man, we almost gave up. Like, we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought we lost our daughter as a teenager to concussions, but now she's better." And I'm going to tell anybody I can tell, and I'm a supporter of you guys and what you're doing. So we just have stories like that they give me continued passion and purpose to keep building and keep letting people know that the mind and the brain are important. And what we've done to physically train humans, to what I've seen, to what we're all seeing here, we can do for the mind and brain as well now.
Fueling our bodies for peak performance is one of the most important parts of our preparation. It's also one of our most difficult choices. We live in a world full of options like energy drinks, shots, gels, and snacks. Mod Balls is the natural choice. Just a 20-gram Mod Ball packs 10 times more energy per gram than the other options, and they're safe for active kids, adults, and athletes. Macronutrients from 75 fruits, veggies, seeds, nuts, chocolate, and raw honey replace caffeine and sugar, increasing energy without creating a jittery stimulant buzz or sugar crash. Plus, Mod Balls are only 100 calories. They're individually wrapped, organic, vegan, dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free, HFCS-free, and GMO-free. They're also $10 off your first order when you use code JED, J-E-D, at modballs.com.
You said there were 5 keys to success. Can you go over them real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. What I found worked for me, what I found worked for some of the highest performers that I've ever been around. I mean, I'm talking about Hall of Fame guys. It's commitment, right? I always say you start with commitment. You know that it doesn't matter where you start. Anything you want to do, you can do it. Then you go to discipline. Then you go to guidance, quality support, and resilience. And then that's what I teach a lot of, is teaching people how to leverage those 5 words, right? It's easy to just say 5 words, but teaching people how to apply them to their day-to-day life. It's been really, really powerful for me, and it's been powerful for the people that I've helped. But it's exciting to really think about continuing to teach people how to be high performers in their own life just by leveraging the words that you can fit on one hand.
Yeah. Well, you want to give them the tools, and I think that's what you're doing. You've taken all that experience that you've had, and you've shown that you can take that, and that becomes a foundation. And even though at every step that you've taken, you've had to essentially, as you said, start over, right, and start at that bottom. When you make that commitment, you see that vision, you set that standard, and then you execute on that vision every single day, and you don't compromise that standard, you're going to find success in that next thing that you do.
100%. And one of the reasons why when I was in graduate school, I was like, okay, how do I combine the experiences I've had in sports with what I'm learning now? And I was like, okay, well, I got to find a way to put these things together. So let me try to create a system, right? Because it doesn't matter if I have it in my head. It has to be something I can teach. It has to be something that's practical enough anybody can do. But one of the things I learned from studying psychology is really the value of quality support, right? We all have an idea of how having good supportive people around us could be helpful. But how do you, if I asked you right now, Jessie, how do you define a supportive friend? How would you define that?
I'm not sure how I would define that.
And I think that's really hard, right? It's how would I define it, right? So then I'm thinking this in my head. I'm like, all right, well, you're studying psychology, go in the research and find out. So then I had to say, okay, what is a quick way that I could help Jessie know how to know if your friends and the people in your family and the people you have around you are really supportive? So I was like, okay, well, let me check the research and see what it says. So one of the things I found that you can really use to determine if the support is quality or not is who's the attentive listener. We often don't value how important it is to have a person in your life that just listens to you. Just sit there and hear you, right? We get to express, we get to feel known. Like, that's key for helping a human feel like they have support in their life. Who do you go to that gives you words of belief? Like, so many people I tell, like, or I talk to, they tell me about their dream, like, yeah, but the people around me don't think I can do it. Like, that's not quality support.
Yeah.
If you're sharing what you want to do, your dreams, and they're not giving you words of belief, that support's not quality. The person that gives you quality support is a person that speaks belief into you. Who do you go to for an act of kindness? Like, I would not be here on this stage if there wasn't thousands of acts of kindness done for me. I would never have made it to one high school practice if Coach Mack didn't come to my house and pick me up and drop me off because my parents were too busy working for me to go to practice. My entire life course would have been changed if Coach Mack wasn't saying, you know what, I'm going to give you an act of kindness every day. And if you have enough humility to realize, like, hey, so many people have given me acts of kindness throughout my life. I didn't get here on my own. And then the last one is quality time. Like, if you're building something and you have a big dream that you're chasing, you're going to need to get away from it for a while. So who do you go to where it just feels chill? Like, it doesn't, none of that matters. Like, it's like getting just a safety bubble away from all that. You just spend quality time. For a lot of people, it's like, you know, I just hang out with my kids. Like, they don't care if dad's former Pro Bowler. They don't care if he's going to graduate school. I just want to play in the pool. Right? Those are quality times. So I wanted to give people something that they could use to identify who's the quality support in their life. So spend time with the people that you can have quality time with, that give you words of belief, that are attentive listeners, and then give you acts of kindness. And that's quality support, and that's going to give you a boost onto what you're trying to achieve. Like, in those 5 keys to success, 2 of them are about how hard you work. That's commitment and discipline. Like, that's all on you. Like, no one can do that for you. Mm-hmm. But guidance and quality support, that's others. Because if you're going to go climb a big mountain, and you have a big dream, and you want to change your life in the course of it, you're not going to do it on your own. You're going to need your work ethic, your commitment, and you're going to need others. And then the last part, Jessie, we talked about is the resilience, right? Like, how do you persevere when life brings you the inevitable tough time? Mm-hmm. And the bigger your dream, the more tough times that are going to come. Yeah. So if you're able to do all 5 of those things consistently on a daily basis, I promise you, you're going to make it to the top of the mountain you're climbing. And it's going to be great, right? When you sit up at the top of the mountain, you look out and you're like, wow, I did it. And I want everybody to have that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to give us the hook here in a minute. But last question. This is a test question.
All right. I'm all right at those.
You ready?
All right at those.
The Jedburghs in World War II had to do 3 things as foundational tasks, core tasks. They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, they had to be able to communicate. If they did these 3 things with utmost precision, then they could put their focus on more complex challenges that came their way, primarily arming the French resistance and defeating the Germans. What are the 3 things that you do every day to set the conditions in your world for your success as core foundational habits?
Well, I'm not going to say the 5 keys to success.
No, you don't get to because you already used those.
That would be
no,
too easy.
those are theory.
Even
This is tasks.
I do those. I usually start my mornings off with dreaming, and not like lucid dreaming. Like, sit there with yourself in the morning before you get out of bed and go, what are all the things that I wish I could be doing? Like, if there was no conditions and no limits, what are those things? Like, we live in a world now where we don't allow ourselves to dream anymore. I like history, I like philosophy. Like, those people sat around, they just allowed themselves to dream. So when I wake up in the morning, I just let my mind kind of go where it wants to go and think about all the things that have meaning to me, all the things that would be exciting for me to do without going, oh, is that possible? I think the other thing I do is I don't make any excuses. Like, if I've set a standard, like, it has to get done. It has to get, like, no excuses. And then I just don't procrastinate. Like, not procrastinating always allows you to be ahead of things. Like, when you finish your day knowing that, man, I didn't push all this stuff to the next day, or for me, like, it's hard to balance like building startup companies, being a dad, and trying to work on getting a doctoral degree. So I can't procrastinate. I get ahead of everything. I turn that paper in a week early, and the teacher's like, oh, you have another week. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want it on my mind. I need to get it off my mind now.
Yeah.
So those are probably the 3 things I do. I allow myself to dream. I never make excuses, and I don't procrastinate.
Those are good.
We've had some good ones this week.
I love that.
I love
yeah,
those
and
3.
then dreaming in the morning. That's like right when you wake up is when your brain is the most like flexible and creative, right?
I mean, for me, some people might wake up in the morning, they might be the most stressed they are for the day because they've got all these things that they know they have to do, and if they procrastinate, they know they're behind. But every person has a time in the day where your mind starts to wander and drift, and we've gotten really Western about never letting your mind wander. Mindfulness and meditation has been like never let your mind wander, right? And you've heard that over and over now. But I'm like, why not? Why not let it do it sometimes? Don't let it do it when I'm trying to give you guys my attention or if I'm in class. But sometimes you're driving, cut the music off, cut the radio off, and just see what comes up if we're not bombarding ourselves with all this other stimuli. For me in the morning, there's no TV on, the phone's not ringing yet, it's not time to get to emails. So I have the most space to allow my mind to dream.
Nice. Yeah, I've been working on that a little bit lately. I had been in the habit of always having either, on a good day, educational YouTube videos and listening and just always having stuff coming into my brain. And lately I've been, sometimes when I'm trying to meditate or sometimes when I'm just riding my bike, but it'll be like my brain wanders into almost this movie that I'm just watching, being like, well, that's interesting. And it's been actually really satisfying and kind of eye-opening rather than getting that from an outside source.
Yeah, no, I mean, the amount of things that just spontaneously pop up, like our brain kind of works that way. Like we don't think that we want this next thought to come, it just comes. But what happens if you just take the guardrails off of that and you say, I'm allowing anything to come up? One thing I like to encourage people to do is give your miracles a chance to happen. But how can your miracles happen if you never allowed yourself to dream? How do you know what that miracle would look like? What would it be? When I thought, and I would lay in bed and think, man, this college basketball thing's all right, but I think you could be a pro football player, right? And you're talking to yourself. I had to allow that to keep coming into my mind. And then one day I was like, man, damn it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and tell that coach, man, can I come out? But what if I never did that? What if I never allowed myself to dream that I could play in the NFL? I would have never done it. I don't know what I would have been doing. I would have, like, athletic career would have ended after college, and I would have probably been fine. But what about the next dream when I was like, man, I want to help people? And I had to create a new passion and a new purpose in my life from what I was as an athlete and say, you know what? Maybe I'll try and go get a doctorate. I think I could do it.
Yeah.
All right, no. The first time you never go with it, though.
Yeah.
But if you let yourself dream it over and over again, then one day you'll be like, why not?
Yeah.
Well, dreams put us on this stage here today. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
So yours, Jesse's, mine. It's been an honor to sit here with you. Thank you so much for coming down and talking to us. This event's been awesome. It's going to be under the lights here in a few minutes. We're going to go check it out. Thank you so much, Julius.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
American Jedburghs went out to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Director to the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Talent War Group, and our sponsor Jersey Mike Subs on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Send your comments and inquiries to media@talentwargroup.com. As a former member of Special Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast donates a percentage of all proceeds to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.